scheduled or surprise. See our local happenings here on
Try that again. Good evening. Call this regular meeting of Marysville City Council to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rollins.
Here.
Councilmember Gilchrist.
Here.
Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Buttacavoli.
Here.
And Mayor Branscombe.
Thank you. Yes. Everybody please stand and join the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which liberty and justice. Madam Clerk, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, there was a request for 2 letters that came in for the city to endorse after the agenda was already posted, and we're asking for those to be added to the agenda as item number 11.
Sure. Where are those going to be in the agenda? Okay, you can do that. Thank you. City Attorney, anything to report on closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, while in closed session, the council authorized its special counsel, Marcia Birch, to seek the appointment of a receiver as it pertains to the property at 331A Street in Marysville.
Thank you, sir. All right, we have some presentations to make. Turn my phone. It is now. This is a proclamation designating April 2026 as Volunteer Appreciation Month here in the city of Marysville. Whereas volunteers are recognized for their commitment to community, and April 19th to 22nd, 2026 is designated as National Volunteer Week. And whereas the city of Marysville has an outstanding group of citizen volunteers who give of their time to greet and meet the needs of our citizens and give of their unselfish efforts to help shape our government and offer valuable insights which can affect positive change. And whereas volunteers utilize their time and talents to make a difference in the city of Marysville and to inspire and help us to be mindful of our social responsibility and accountability to our citizens. And whereas the Marysville City Council recognizes the value of Marysville's volunteers in the role of a dedicated group of individuals who are vital to the present and future of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chris Branscombe, Mayor of Marysville, along with City Council of the City of Marysville, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Volunteer Appreciation Month in the City of Marysville. And I thank all of our volunteers for the dedication and service to the city. Valerie, you must have something you want to share. Panic in her face. Okay. Here, Val. Absolutely. Val, you're made for this. We got to do things like this more often, huh? Test. And this is a proclamation declaring the week of April 12th through 18th, 2026, as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Telecommunicators, that's not an easy one. Telecommunicators Week in the City of Marysville. You're representing all of them, aren't you? You're doing a good job. Anyway, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Marysville Police Dispatch Center, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Marysville Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehensions of criminals, the suppression of fires, and the safety of our community. Whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their duties in the past year. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chris Branscombe, Mayor of Marysville, along with the City Council of the City of Marysville, call upon everyone in our community to recognize and thank all of our public safety telecommunicators in the City of Marysville, and I'm very proud to have signed this. How long have you been with the city? In 2020? And you know what you're doing. What is it? It's 10,000 hours, I think, to make someone, well, okay, you've got the 10,000 hours. There's a saying that it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert at something, so that makes you an expert. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
We just love what we do, and we love the community. Right now, we've got 4 public safety dispatchers. 12-hour shifts, 3 and 4 alternating days a week. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost 6 years in, or 6 years plus?
Yep.
I'm an expert. Happy to present this to you. Happy with your colleagues. Kendra. Happy to see you. National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. We appreciate you every week, as we appreciate our telecommunicators. Whereas animal control officers serve an essential role in protecting the health, safety, and welfare of both residents and animals within our community. And whereas these dedicated professionals our dedicated professional, respond to calls involving strays, injured, abused, neglected, and dangerous animals sometimes, often under challenging and unpredictable circumstances. And whereas animal control officers work diligently to promote responsible pet ownership, enforce animal welfare laws, reunite lost pets with their families, and educate the public on humane treatment of animals. And whereas your efforts, their efforts, it says here, contribute greatly to public safety, disease prevention, and the overall quality of life in the city of Marysville. And whereas animal control officers demonstrate compassion, professionalism, and commitment each day while serving both people and animals with care and respect. And I've seen you do that. And whereas National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week provides an opportunity to recognize and thank these individuals for their valuable service and dedication to our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chris Branscombe, Mayor of Marysville, along with the City Council of the City of Marysville, recognize and proclaim April 12th through 18th, 2026 as National Animal Control Officer Appreciation Week. We'll do that this week instead of last week, okay? In the city of Marysville, and encourage all residents to join in expressing gratitude to Officer Harper for her outstanding service. It was last week, wasn't it? You came in with that little puppy. Yeah, I know, but no, it was last week. Just a bit. It looked like a purebred lab, and they are purebred labs because I looked at it, had the webbing between the toes and everything. Real cuties, and I'm taken by puppies. I'm a softie. And I was so happy to hear the next day that you had arranged with a group to make sure they found a home. That's fabulous. Kendra, you're great. Okay, we now move to the Community and Consent Calendar Forum, and this is the point where anyone who wishes to speak on a matter not on the agenda or a matter on the consent calendar agenda is free to speak. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone wishing to speak?
We do. Anna E. Gabriel.
Welcome. Oh, I turned it off. There's a little button there you have to press.
Is it on? Okay, awesome. I did prepare some slides, so I believe Maggie's going to pass those out.
Pardon me, I can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Better?
Just
Okay.
a minute. There's some folks leaving.
Awesome.
Thank you, Police Department. All right. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anai. I am the project manager with the American Lung Association over the North Valley Tobacco Project. Here today, I'm here to talk to you about the Earth Day Ellis Lake Park cleanup that we hosted April 1st. Next slide, please. Here in this first slide, again, it was April 1st, 2026. We partnered with Sutter and Yuba-Love, or Say Love. They are a community-based organization working in Sutter and Yuba County. We partnered with them to host this park cleanup, and we also collaborated with Yuba County Health and Human Services and Blue Zones Project. We did have youth engagement. We had 4 students come out, and we did give them certificates of completion for 1 hour of community service, and we also incentivized their participation with a gift card to Starbucks for those that did come out. Next slide, please. And here are some pictures of the impact that we made on the community, and also just showing the impact that tobacco litter does have within the lake and within the surrounding community of Marysville. Here we have tobacco litter collected, which included several different tobacco products. In this picture, we used gloves, a large glove, to collect tobacco cigarette butts. And I believe there was a total, if I counted correctly, of 5 or 6 gloves that were full of cigarette butts. And cigarette butts are the #1 reported tobacco litter, with 4.5 trillion cigarette butts littered every single year. Next slide, please. And here we have the 8 bags of trash that we collected from Ellis Lake in 1 hour. So 1 hour wasn't a ton of time, but we did our best to get around the lake and collect as much trash as we could. And we did have volunteers from Say Love that came out that are with the organization along with our students. We had staff from the Lung Association, Yuba County staff, and Blue Zones Project as well. Next slide, please. And here we have pictured some ducks with the trash that was in the lake as well. And this just exemplifies that wildlife and ecosystems are subject to litter and tobacco product waste. Those butts are also in our lakes. They're in our water systems, our streams, on the grass. So they do infiltrate. Next slide, please. And here we have, hidden in plain sight, some cigarette butts. I did put the circles around them so that they were visible. Without them, they were very hard to see. And I think that just really speaks to how normal it is now to see tobacco product waste littered in our community and in gutters and on sidewalks. Next slide, please. And that concludes my presentation. I wanted to leave you guys with food for thought. So future generations inherit the earth and the community that we cultivate today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Outstanding undertaking.
Thank you.
You could go back to the photo of the lake and the duck. There you go. Our public works people do a great job of getting that stuff cleaned up most of the time. So, and I know you're making a point here, but I also wanted to commend our public works people. They get out there and rake that stuff up. The wind blows, and some of that stuff just blows into the lake. It's not deposited around the lake, with a strong wind and what have you.
Absolutely.
It's a real undertaking to do that, but it does help make your point, and bless you all for doing all that work.
Thank you. I did want to add, it was very rainy and windy this day, so I think we definitely got some of the litter that might be really hard to kind of get.
Usually at south wind, it's in the north end of the lake, north wind the other end. That's how it works. And are you a volunteer, or what's your role? Awesome. Thank you for being here. You bet. Madam Clerk, any other speakers?
That's it tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we move to the consent calendar, and as you all know, these matters are generally considered routine and generally approved by one motion unless a council member or the city manager wishes to pull an item for separate discussion and action. What is the will of the council?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
It is moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we now move to the discussion and action calendar. All matters in this section of the agenda are discussed and will be acted on individually. Anyone wishes to speak on a matter, when it comes up, you can get a speaker's card from the city clerk and you'll be able to speak at that time. Let's see. First matter on the discussion and action calendar, item number 9 on the agenda, budget amendments to fiscal year 2025-26 adopted general fund budget. And the recommendation is to pass a motion to amend the fiscal year 2025-26 adopted general fund, street fund, and wastewater fund budgets with the proposed adjustments to revenue and expenditures as presented. We have our very able, more than just very able, finance director, Anissa Young, to present. Yep. Make sure that's on.
No.
I think the battery died during the last presentation.
Hello. Okay.
Hello. There we go.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the Council. This presentation represents a summary of financial activity as stated through December 31st, 2025 across the General Fund, the Street Fund, and the Sewer Enterprise Fund. I do want to emphasize that this is activity only stated through December 31st, 2025. If a major change in activity has occurred, it will be stated as the information is presented. I do want to remember that this is a mid-year report. The first, next slide. Hold on.
It's coming. Drum roll.
You have to click 4 times. Perfect. Okay. The first slide represents a general fund overview starting with the revenues. So the green box on the upper left-hand side. As of December 31st, 2025, the city has received 29.4% of its budgeted revenues, which is approximately $4.41 million of the 14.94% of the total amount budgeted. Revenue for the purposes of this report are just represented on a cash basis. So that's revenue received physically in hand. A few key points that are $0 were received for property tax apportionments. This primarily has to do with timings that are due to Yuba County. It's historic for the past 2 years in my experience that I've seen in our system. We annually appropriate approximately $1.5 to $1.7 million. The payment has not yet been received until I apologize.
Very quickly, while we have that pause, the cover page says for the 6 months ending financial report, aren't we on a 6 months ending December 31st, 2025? And the real question when you see those percentages is you'd expect them to be halfway, and I see the explanations which make sense to me, make sense to everybody else for
I have a few key other points about the delay in revenue outside of property tax apportionments. A lot of them also have to do with your contract receivables, which are obligations that external parties have with the city to remit or disperse payments directly to the city, which have also been delayed. That primarily is really on trend for what the city has seen within the past 3 to 5 years. There's also been a delay in
That microphone isn't working. Did we charge those?
Sorry.
On again.
Let me hold it and see what happens.
That's what I did, and it worked the whole time.
Let's see if this works. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. A few key points outside of the contract receivables and other intergovernmental receivables are other receivables due from other government agencies. Again, that primarily has to do with the timing difference. So normally in the city of Marysville, the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years of trending basically states that a majority of your receivables are received within the second portion of the 6-month period, as well as during our accrual period, which is anywhere between 7/1/2026 of this year to September 30th of 2026. We did have an anomaly last year in which the county of Yuba remitted our tax apportionment very, very late, and we didn't receive that true-up payment until almost November of 2025 for the prior fiscal year. I do want to state, as of April 15th, the city has received $130,000.
Pardon me. How much was at issue in that late payment by the county?
Of this fiscal year or the prior fiscal year?
The one that wasn't received until November, whatever.
$2.8 million.
$2.8 million. When was that due?
They're generally due anywhere between January, February, or April is really when the city receives their payments.
So it was more than 6 months late?
Yes.
And they had the cash the entire time?
Yes.
And they were earning interest on that cash more likely than not?
I can't confidently confirm that, but most likely.
Well, for example, if indeed they were, they have an incentive to delay.
Yes.
Interesting. So are we doing anything about this? I mean, is this still a persistent problem?
It is a persistent problem. It's also a persistent problem with the other jurisdictions within the county.
City manager.
We have urged them to be on time. In this case, the county administrator has limited control over that timing because the treasurer, is that the right title? County auditor are electeds that manage that function, and we've urged them to pay it on time. We have, I believe, the reason for the delay has been limited staffing.
Received when I inquired.
Yeah, you can sit if it works better for you over there.
Sit your chair, please.
I have a question for maybe Jim.
Let me just finish the thought. Just a moment, Jim. Bruce. $2.8 million, more than 6 months late. Okay, I know we're earning 4+% in our Treasury bond portfolio.
3.8.
How much?
3.8.
Four-ish. So annually, that's 40, 88. 110, say about 110 half year. So that's $50,000-$60,000 that we're out, that we could be earning interest on that capital.
Yes.
At what point do we quit urging and demand? And that'll be something I think we can discuss with the city attorney. If they work for the county, they're elected, they're a county official, if they do something that benefits the county and to the detriment of others. I was involved in a huge case back in the 80s where it was litigation between cities and special districts within a county very near us, a very large county. And I'm not saying games are being played, but it's clearly we suffering to the tune of $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and lost opportunity cost on money, and not to be overlooked. Perhaps we could talk about this at some later point, council and with city management. I'm sorry, Bruce.
No, I just had, and I don't even know if we know this, but do they have the legal discretion to do what they're doing, or have we just been allowing it?
That would be a question for our city or our council.
Would you have any knowledge of that at this point?
Having just heard about it,
Okay.
I will do some research, but
Perfect.
There's a process to compel a public official to do their duty, which can include damages, $50,000, $60,000, let's
Sure.
say. But hopefully a couple of well-placed communications will solve it for the future. But yes, there's a remedy.
Okay, good. Thank you.
This may also be a good topic for our city-county liaison committee meeting next time.
Sorry.
Well, if it's purposeful, that's one thing. If it's poor execution, that's also, or incompetence, whichever would be, poor execution, willfulness, incompetence, there's any kind of list of things, we are still injured. And we can demonstrate the injury. And therefore, that should be subject to a claim. Because that money was someplace earning money for who? The payor, not the payee. And great, this is something that needs to be followed up on with urgency and with demands, not requests. Thank you. Please proceed.
So I believe I left off as the intergovernmental receivables and then the construction and building permitting. The construction and building permitting specifically, as of the 15th of April of 2026, the city has received $130,000 in excess of budgeted revenues for construction permits alone. That primarily has to do with, I believe, the grocery outlet permit being pulled and the other development that has been going on in the downtown. Unfortunately, Dan isn't here to give you more information about what those projects are specifically, but I will have him give me a list so I can forward that to you. Now on to the general fund expenditures. As of December 31st, 2025, the city has expended 43.80% of its budgeted expenditures, which equates to approximately $8.09 million. That is of the $18.7 million inclusive of the general fund capital budget, which is inclusive of everything for capital improvements and capital outlay. That all in all is about just over $3 million.
Pardon me, you have a category there, major non-departmental expenditures.
Yes.
What's that mean?
So that is for expenses that don't belong to a specific department.
Expenditures, they're not all expenses because you got capital improvements, right?
Correct.
So expenditures include capital improvements and expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
So that primarily has to do with it's neither assigned to the police department, let's say, or public works. It's just a general city service. So that's inclusive of debt service. That's inclusive of vehicle lease payments, general services, and other things such as, I do have that listed here below, so I will get there. So of the capital improvements, that will be discussed as we move on through this presentation, but in general services, it's primarily debt service, which is inclusive of the pension obligation bond and various vehicle leases for public safety. We are trying to move away from vehicle leases as they're quite expensive. Our interest yield rates on them are something that we need to hone in on because we shouldn't be paying a market rate lease for tax-exempt yield. With that in mind, the line item alone for debt service is approximately $2.2 million. And that is all inclusive. Again, that's the POB and various vehicle lease agreements that we have that mature between this year and 2035. We're also looking at information technology. Citywide, there has been technological advances. Evidently, we need to also look at the council chambers. And I do want to make that a priority, if not by the end of this fiscal year, into the next fiscal year. I know the city manager's office and finance department has been working closely together to figure out what that looks like and how to execute that, and how much realistically that's going to cost to modernize this current system. There are also current IT requirements, specifically within the police department, that are necessary that we upgrade. I believe Chief Nabeta has previously mentioned the DOJ line that needs to be upgraded. So everything is inclusive in this IT line. And then we're talking about citywide professional services contract. That's primarily inclusive of the HR contract that we used to have that was budgeted for this fiscal year, additional 4-leaf expenses as incurred from the transition period from having a public works director with no building experience to one now that has, so there is that transitional period. And then the MAS contract that was awarded in a request for supplemental authorization in prior council meetings. All of these contracts have been previously addressed outside of the DOJ one for the police department in a supplemental appropriations request, and it's now being formally amended to represent in the budget, so it's being formally, the budget is being adjusted at this point in time. So we will now review the top general revenues. Sure.
So when we're talking about that there are those non-department expenditures, and you used vehicles, so public work vehicles, PD, fire, they're not paid out through their department?
So they have been recorded, and again, a lot of this is with the accounting systems already put in place. A lot of these expenses are being recorded in a general debt service category that is neither delineated or assigned by department. So
are they included in the individual budgets?
No, so that's why they're considered non-departmental at this point in time. Going forward, they will be assigned and reallocated to those specific departments, okay. But they have otherwise at this point in time not been assigned. That's a historic accounting method.
Okay, thank you.
Could you please restate the challenges associated, the financial challenges associated with those transactions?
In what capacity?
Well, you were describing problems with the financing.
Like the interest rates and the loans?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So when you have a municipal loan or a municipal lease, generally you get a municipal yield.
Hold on, a municipal what? A
municipal tax yield. There's a special rate for municipalities that we are entitled to receive on the basis of being a municipal entity. Okay. In my experience with the city thus far, I've noticed that a lot of our municipal vehicle leases are subject to individual market rate interest rates. So instead of 3 to 4%, which is a general municipal rate or the general going rate for municipalities, we're paying anywhere between 7 and 8%.
And this is on transactions?
This is on lease agreements for any newly acquired vehicles that the city has acquired within the last 5 to 6 years.
That's a lot of money.
It is. So
have you calculated the delta on that?
So I can tell you the one that I have the most experience with was prior to my arrival with the city of Marysville, and when Robin Bertagna was here. she had to deal with the acquisition of 5 police vehicles, and the police vehicles at that point in time were acquired in the prior fiscal year, but because of how our accounting system works, that acquisition of those vehicles don't roll over to the subsequent year. So if this is fiscal 25, that means that theoretical monies were requested in 24, but because there was no appropriation made or budget line item made in 25, a new supplemental authorization had to be requested. And that dollar amount was an annual payment of $126,000 a year, which ended up being approximately $650,000 through the life of the 5-year loan. When we did initial research on the interest rates and filing all the necessary required IRS forms, it was shown that invoicing of vehicles was not done correctly, and so we had to recalculate some of those interest costs, and I was able to renegotiate, not a ton, but I saved 100 basis points at that point in time to lower that rate, just because some of the execution on how that lease was done incorrectly.
Now, what was the level of awareness? I mean, how long has this municipal rate been available to us, and it was overlooked or ignored? I mean, there's 2 possibilities.
I can't confidently answer that at this point.
I mean, is that a matter of legislation or?
No, it's a matter of knowing what's available out there. If you know that there's a municipal yield rate, more times than not, you can opt for it. I know that a lot of school districts, they get specialty or preferred financing terms. Municipalities are subject to the same.
So have we taken advantage of that? Any transactions?
We have not leased a vehicle since my tenure with the city. I would prefer...
Since when?
Since the last lot of vehicles we purchased was 6 vehicles for the police department in fiscal 25. At this point in time, my methodology is to purchase the vehicles, like we purchased the sewer truck recently. You save on the interest rate.
So, pardon me, fiscal ending June 25?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No, are you certain that you could go out right now and get a lease at 3% versus market?
I mean, at this point, the inflationary is probably anywhere between 3 and 5 for municipal, but you're not going to pay what everyone else pays at.
So, but the delta is it's about 50% of market.
Yes. And it's just a matter of negotiating the terms with the appropriate people. There's always a government financing office with every dealership, for example, if we're going to go based on vehicles. There's always a government finance office. There's always ways around the current market rate leases are offered to individuals that are non-government.
This is disturbing to know an opportunity like that was, and we're paying twice in interest. I'd be interested in a calculation just on recent transactions of the delta between what could have been and what is.
For all leases?
Or, yeah, go back. Vehicles in place, how's that? Vehicles in place. And, I mean, I know how busy you are, so if this is a burden, forget about it, but it should be something that could be reasonably quickly calculated. And something tells me the number is real money.
So with that in mind, I will be going to the next slide.
Thank you. No, this is an excellent presentation. Thank you.
So we're going to now review the top general fund revenues, and I place them in order based on the dollar amount that we received the most in. Measure G had a budget amount of $3.72 million, and to date, the city has received I'm going to slow down. To date, the city has received 34.37%, or $1.28 million, as of December 31st, 2025. As of April 16th, 2026, the city is in receipt of $2.29 million, or 62% of projected revenues. In conjunction with HDL, which is the software that the city utilizes to make revenue projections, as well as account for what kind of property tax. It's our software for how much we can expect to receive in either Bradley Burns or Measure G sales tax. In conjunction with HDL and internal financial projections, Measure G is projected to increase 2.7%, or approximately $100,000 more in revenue for this fiscal year alone. As for property taxes, again, I do want to stress that this is as of December 31st, 2025. $0 has been received as of that date, but as of the 21st of April, 2026, the city has received approximately $2 million to date.
What percent is that of the total that you anticipate?
I believe that's almost 2/3. So the first apportionment was paid at the last week in January of 2026, and we just received the second apportionment yesterday.
And these apportionments go through, would you refresh us on I think you just stated it, but the siren goes. But what process, when we get more than halfway through the year and we've seen zero on a substantial portion of our revenue? What's the reason for that?
I don't have a reason for that. I mean, we receive, as a teeter plan, we receive the money from the county. We are not the only jurisdiction within the county of Yuba that is experiencing this delay. It is...
Does the county collects this money, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the treasurer gets it. I remember I write the check to the treasurer.
Yes.
So the county has all the money.
Yes.
This is another situation. Oh, that was part of the earlier intergovernmental that we talked about?
Yes.
Thank you.
In November, the county forwarded the most recent revenue estimates, which also aligns with HDL projections. At the point in time that I passed the municipal budget last year, the county had given us one set of projections, and now that they have been able to go through their, I believe, whole real value of all property as of November, they were able to give us updated estimates. The initial budgeted amounts were combined between real property tax and the VLF, which is vehicle license fee, which also is a pass-through from the county, is approximately $3.12 million, of which $1.73 million is for property taxes and $1.39 million is for the VLF. There's an estimated increase of $263,000, which equates to $200,000 for property taxes and $63,000 in VLF. Those numbers are accurate let me rephrase that. Those numbers are estimated and it aligns with HDL's projections. The county forwarded those numbers in November, and HDL just updated their most recent quarter with the same projection. So I'm
curious why the difference in the percentages. It would seem either the sales transaction, the Measure G, and then the regular sales tax, right?
Yes.
They're collected at the same time.
Yes.
Collected at the same time. So one would think that the percentages forward to us would be the same.
The dollar amounts are calculated differently with Bradley Burns and in respect to Measure G. The amounts remitted are different because sales tax on the Bradley Burns side is down, which I will get to, is a decline of 2.1% in sales tax, which is approximately $53,000. Sales tax is down statewide on the Bradley Burns side, but Measure G, our local economy specifically, is stimulating our local economy for whatever reason. A lot of that has to do with the increased construction that's happening in Marysville. A lot of that also has to do with our restaurants and tourism category within that HDL portal being increased by 10%. Also has to do with, we'll get to that also, is cannabis is also up as well through Measure F.
The variance, the sales and use tax, that's like 0.7, right? 0.7%?
Yes.
and it's a full 1%. And I presume the difference in these forecasted amounts are the difference between 0.7 and 1%.
Yes.
Those two bars. So that being the case, it is curious that we're seeing 44%, and I presume we made the forecasts on the same basis, 0.7 and 1. They should be the same percentage. And I don't understand why Measure G would be behind.
I will look into that and confirm that what is presented accurately reflects what has been received.
This comes from the state.
Correct, the CDTFA.
The what?
The California Department of Tax and Fees.
There are some questions. Thank you.
Where are we? Cannabis tax, business taxes and Measure F is projected to outperform budgeted amounts. As of December 31st, the city has received 49.75% of budgeted revenue and is projected to exceed the $900,000 in projected revenue that we adopted at budget time. In fiscal 25, Marysville received about $1 million for Measure F and is projected to collect about $1.1 million for fiscal year 2026. As of the 16th of April 2026, the city has collected almost 91% of anticipated revenue for Measure F. So there is an increase of $75,000 to create a new amended revenue for $975,000, but I believe that is still conservative at this point in time.
So the Measure F is 5%, correct?
4%, I thought. Okay. I can confirm that.
I thought it was a flat 5%. That was my recollection.
I can verify that.
I think it's a flat 5. So it's a flat 5. That means the sales tax associated with it is another $200,000. Thank you.
So now we will move on to the next slide. This slide is about the top general fund expenditures. All three departments are below the 50% mark at the mid-year point, most likely and accurately due to various vacancies in each respective department. Even though no department will ever be fully staffed at any given point, there are always vacancies at any point. The police department specifically, and Vance, please chime in, currently has 3 vacancies there, and that primarily is due to a lot of the salary savings that they're seeing right now. Particularly, so that's where we have the vacancies. Again, the top 3 expenditures for the general fund are police, fire, and facilities and parks. Facilities and parks is comprised of the public works management crew, the bargaining unit, and fleet maintenance is inclusive in this. Questions? So this...
Pardon me, we have the 3 major departments, police, fire, and Public Works. Is that what you call facilities and parks?
Yes.
Public Works. And then everything else falls under a general heading.
Yes.
Be interesting to see that presentation in any future presentation.
Sure.
And just have 4 categories instead of just 3. That would encapsulate everything. Sure.
What is also not on here is any enterprise funds or street-related funds. Is that correct?
It's at the end.
Okay.
It's separate.
This is just general fund.
Are you talking about all the rest of the general fund, general services?
I'm just talking, yeah,
Okay.
the enterprise fund is separate and apart.
Okay.
Separate and apart. But within the general fund, it's police, fire, public works, and everything else, and everything else should be shown in bars also.
Sure.
In fact, if you could present that, share that with us at a future meeting, that'd be great.
So the next slide is the major budget adjustments requested. I highlighted the largest major budget adjustment. I did not include the smaller 10,000 here, 50,000 here. It's in a detailed summary within the rest of your packet. But I did want to highlight there was a reclassification of assets, and that is primarily for Ellis Lake as part of the Clean California project. It was the local match, and that is for the boardwalk around the lake. And then we have the B Street property remediation, and then the ARPA funds reclassification, which is to be utilized for capital outlay or capital improvements. And then we have this concept called deferred inflow resources. That is grant funds that should have been received for a prior fiscal year now being realized in the current fiscal year. So we had a grant for several years ago, and it finally closed out. We should have received those funds at that initial grant closeout time, but instead we're receiving the funds right now. The largest grant that we have received for a deferred inflow resource is Prop 64, and that is for the annex, right?
It's a
YCOE.
Youth. Program to reduce effective cannabis sales.
Thank you. And then on the bottom is your major expenditures. A lot of this has been, the first one has been addressed through a supplemental appropriation that was for MAS and 4-leaf. Employee accrued leave payout, that's something that will be addressed in the next fiscal year budget, and that is going to allow the city to start reserving funds in the event that people choose, once they separate from the city doesn't have this compensated absence liability that we can't otherwise afford to fund in that fiscal year. So I want to make sure that we are adequately budgeting and preparing for that as turnover occurs.
So 4-leaf is the building and planning consultants?
Yes.
And what's happening here? Wasn't that was in the budget before or not?
It was, but we initially budgeted a set amount for that transition period, and with a couple of some issues within the building department and some vacancies. If Jeremy, you want to hop in?
Yeah, I can add to that. So some of those, that's not dollar for dollar like overage expenditures. We also have some pretty large projects going through plan check that we are receiving. Those developers are paying those fees as well, so we are getting additional revenues with those to cover some of those. So it's not, but at the same time, what was approved in the budget was at a lower amount. So that's something to keep in mind too. So through the plan check for projects like the Hyatt or Ampla Health and some of those really plan review heavy projects, those are recaptured through those agreements. So that's something to keep in mind there. We are seeing.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there are revenue offsets.
Right.
To this 120.
Right.
Correct.
But not
to the delta.
Correct.
How much? Do you have a feel for the amount of those revenue offsets?
We'd have to go back and look, but yeah. In regards to the building and planning services, those agreements are set up to capture pretty close to 100%. So I think in general we're staying flat, but due to those increased workflow going through them, you're seeing revenues and expenditures getting increased for those.
And we went away from 4-leaf to in-house.
Correct.
It's a transition. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir.
I have a question before we move too far. I think we discussed this in private individual meetings, but I don't think I understood it then, so I'm going to ask it again now. On the employee accrued leave payouts, did you at that time say that we set up 100% budget on it? Oh, I thought that's what you had said in the meeting. So what percentage are we setting up Or
We currently don't have any reserve or allotted amount for accrued leave payouts at this point in time. There's no policy, there's nothing in place that would allow, that we have for this fiscal year that we've had in reserve for that. That's why in the subsequent fiscal year, I would like to start building that reserve slowly. So in the event that this does occur, I don't have to come back and ask for supplemental appropriation every time that someone separates from the city.
So how would you come to that? How do you calculate that? Do you do an estimate of so many turnovers per year? What that would cost per employee? How do you come up with that?
Sometimes, in my experience, when you are during the budget time, you meet with your departments, and a lot of times they say, are you aware of any retirements or any people looking to leave, or have you given any recommendations to people that may be looking to separate from the city? At that point in time, you would calculate their accrued vacation, their admin leave if they have it, if they have any comp time. Those components are what accumulates your accrued leave payouts. So this $110,716 that you see here is from employees that have already separated from the city, and this is what we owed them in accrued leave payout when they separate, at that point of separation.
Okay, so if you're, how often are you going to do that? Are you going to every year recalculate it, or do you have
there's a
amount that you want to?
So there's a compensated absence liability spreadsheet that we have on the accounting side that is updated. I can also pull all types of reports from our accounting system that gives me a dollar amount associated with all of the accrued leave payouts by department per employee. And at that point in time, the best budgeting practice, because we don't already have a reserve, is to incrementally say, of this dollar amount, the city can afford to contribute X amount. So whether that's $10,000 a year or 10% a year, it really is just what I will be able to reserve and still balance the budget.
I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Oh, sorry. So this is a summary of requested budget adjustments. This is basically everything that has been discussed, but in a more consolidated formatting. You do have the detailed breakout in your packets. For the sake of time, I didn't necessarily want to incorporate that here, but if you want me to, I can. I just want to highlight that at the bottom you see total revised net budget net ongoing revenues of negative $54,000. That primarily is due to me being very conservative about budgeting our revenues through the end of the fiscal year, but being very apparent and purposeful with our ongoing expenditures. And so you do have a net revised budget deficit of one-time funds for projects of $14,000. This is all addressed at the end of this fiscal year, and when we start the new budget cycle, anything that's lapsed or anything that's in a deficit will be addressed with council, as it should be annually. And at that point in time, I will ask for direction of the council on how you would like to utilize those lapsed appropriations, if any exist. So we are going through the gas tax fund. So the gas tax fund, this is Fund 21, and this is funded by the highway user taxes and your RMRA funds, or your SB1 funds, as I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. A lot of these revenues coming in are primarily due to timing. If you see a larger variance or less than 50%. I did file the annual street report last year at December 31st, 2025, and the state had told us that it would be in our best interest to start spending down some of those SB1 funds to ensure that we're still eligible to receive future funds, to ensure that we're utilizing those funds for what we say we're going to utilize them for. So with that in mind, I know that there's a streets committee that will be brought up as the year progresses, and there are some projects that will be recommended to that committee at that point. Are there questions about the gas tax fund?
Yeah, some of this we hire contractors to do work, right? But I see, so where's the contractors and what line item are they in?
They would be under services and supplies. Again, these are just the line items that exist within the system that I am bringing forward.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So salaries and benefits are for employees of the city?
Yes.
And how do we arrive at that number?
They are allocated across some of the Public Works Department employees, and there are some dedicated streets employees therein. I will apologize for not being familiar about how many exactly are amongst those employees. So if, Jeremy, you have an idea of who is a streets employees within Public Works?
Well, I presume they're all streets employees at some point.
No, I believe we have around 4 or 5 dedicated positions to the streets and strictly dedicated to the streets.
That's all they do?
For the most part, that's their primary role, but they do, at times, they do jump in and help with the other departments, which is captured as well when they switch over to those roles.
You don't have a time card allocation?
Yeah, it's captured through their actual time cards and notes, and as well as some of our grant-funded projects. Their times noted and charged to those projects as well.
I do want to note as well within across, especially among the enterprise fund for sewer and the gas tax fund, historically when the city has processed payroll, a lot of these payroll costs aren't cost allocated to those respective funds either until the end of the fiscal year or on a quarterly basis. So this may also not represent, remember it's as of December 31st, this may not represent the true allocation for that specific quarter. But with that in mind, I am changing it for the subsequent fiscal year that those costs will be allocated every month that payroll is processed to have a more updated look onto what is being charged to each individual fund. And this is also a really good time to announce that the encumbrance system has been implemented. So that will also allow us to see of salary and wage how much we've actually spent, how much is left, and how much to appropriately budget at that point in time. So everything is kind of falling into place as time and my time at Marysville kind of progresses. Are there any other gas tax fund questions?
I have a question, and I don't know which of you can answer, but I know with the SB1 money, it's typically smaller amounts. And isn't that why we've tried to carry it over?
That's exactly why we've carried it over. And traditionally, we've carried it over to amass enough money to do a major project.
Right.
Some of it is carried over, but some of it is used to expend it on salaries.
Well, yes, I appreciate that's what I thought. But I want to ask on that is because you you commented on that we could hurt our SB1s, what we receive based on not using it. So is there like a set amount, a set time if we carry it over 2 years or 3 years? So when do we get
this has never come up in the past. This is the first time they've commented on this, but the Streets Committee and staff have already identified projects that we will propose to council to spend that down. And our challenge is we don't want to spend all of it down because we want to have a little bit of a reserve for that fund as well. But in order to do any decent street project with an outside contractor, you need to spend, around $500,000 to make it cost effective.
So are you saying that what you're going to try to do is spend that SB1 money every year?
My intent, not every year. No, I would continue to do it's roughly a 3-year cycle that we do it.
That's what I wanted to know.
Depending on the actual project. So this is amassed for probably 3 to 4 years, and I think they're just giving us a warning that we need to start spending some of it, which we fully intended to do. We have about $1 million. We intend to spend roughly $800,000 of that. Is that correct?
Yes, there's just over $1 million in SB1 funds. So the second to last slide is the Sewer Enterprise Fund. This Sewer Enterprise Fund is, again, all enterprise funds and all utilities should be self-liquidating, which means that you need user fees to offset all operational expenses. As it stands, we've collected 51.3% for sewer service fees. That includes the sewer connection fees, the leachate, everything of that nature. We are also in the process of doing a 218 review. And the city is contracting with Dan Bergman, as he has extensive experience with the city of Marysville and the sewer rate study process. We are working in conjunction also with the Linda County Water District to ensure that all of the appropriate expenditures are being accounted for. So if you look at the services and supplies line, you see a budget of approximately $2.68 million. Only $446,000 has been expended at that point. There's a $1.7 million check to be paid to the Linda County Water District expected later this week, and that will be for the agreement that we have with them to handle our sewer connection. I've been working closely with Brian Davis to ensure that those are processed appropriately. Going forward, the enterprise fund, there was an increase of $120,000 last year. That is in perpetuity, and that is for the capital repair replacement program through Linda County Water District, and that is to ensure that Marysville is paying their appropriate portion of the discharge and impact to the sewer system over at Linda County Water. So our impact, I believe, to the system is about 38%. Of which for the last several years the city has been underbilled for it, and unfortunately last fiscal year we did have to true that up. So it was $2,000 a month, it went up to $10,000. So for an annual appropriation of $120,000, and that will be in perpetuity going forward at a minimum. So I will be meeting with Linda County Water to discuss if that is to increase, and I will have Dan Bergman as well as any city management that would like to join to discuss what that increase should look like for the city going forward.
And this is their capital repair and replacement fund?
Yes. Any questions regarding the sewer enterprise?
I have one question.
Sure.
Just to see, how are we doing now on delinquencies? For the sewer?
So we've collected, I believe it was 70 or 80% of the liens we've placed. We continue to do that going forward. As of right now, we can once the sewer rate study hopefully is completed, we can kind of continue to make sure that we're covering our operational costs.
Do you know at this time, as you're bringing that list down, which we've seen that list, is it growing back, or has there been continuous delinquency still coming in?
We usually evaluate that at May, but from what I have seen, I've seen a lot of people outright not agreeing to pay their sewer bill, and so a lot of those delinquencies, they do come up. A lot of people are, we field a lot of phone calls saying that rates are high, and a lot of times that does perpetuate a delinquency pattern as time goes forward. So by that May cutoff period, I should be able to tell you exactly how many homes, if they're perpetual, annual, everything like that. But I won't have that information.
Okay, so to simplify my question and the answer, are we gaining on the collections with the delinquencies? Are we collecting more than we're adding?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Are there any more sewer enterprise fund questions? That concludes my presentation. Are there any other questions from the council, directors, the public?
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not at this time. I would like to say a big thank you to you for meeting with all of us individually and explaining things, the many questions that we had. They're always, every question we present, you have an answer or you get back to us, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you, and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the
We
chair.
will be following through with respect to the payments due from the county that come in at a leisurely pace and need a lot of explanation and perhaps correction. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Now, we need a motion to approve all this.
I make a motion move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None noted. Yes. Item 10 on the agenda, discussion and action calendar. Amendment to Chapter 9.10 of the Municipal Code, Smoking and Commercial Tobacco Use Regulations. Recommendation is to pass a motion to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 9.10 of the Marysville Municipal Code to modernize regulations governing smoking and commercial tobacco use, align the city's code with current California law, and establish locally appropriate restrictions for outdoor public areas and city-supported activities. Sir, take it away.
All right. Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. This item is a cleanup and modernization of the Chapter 9.10 of the Marysville Municipal Code related to smoking and tobacco use. The current ordinance dates back to 1986 and no longer aligns with current state law. What's being proposed is to repeal and replace it so it reflects today's legal framework and addresses gaps such as vaping, cannabis, and outdoor public areas. At a high level, this brings the city into compliance with state law, adds reasonable local controls for parks, events, and city-supported activities, and keeps enforcement practical, focused on education and voluntary compliance. There's no significant fiscal impact, and implementation can be handled with partner resources. Some of those resources and community partners are with us tonight with Blue Zones Project and American Lung Association. Staff recommends that the council introduce the ordinance and waive the first reading. And if there's any other questions for myself or our partners, we're happy to answer any of those questions.
First, let's allow for some public comment on the matter. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who wishes to speak?
Yes, we have Liz Hendricks.
Seems to work better when you hold it.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Thank you, yes.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor Branscombe and City Council members. My name is Liz Hendricks, and I am the Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. ACS CAN supports smoke and tobacco-free workplaces and public spaces, and I urge the Council tonight to adopt a policy prohibiting smoking and tobacco use in these spaces. Secondhand smoke has been identified as a health hazard and as a toxic air contaminant, and there's no safe level of secondhand smoke. Allowing smoking in public places takes away the liberties of bystanders, including children who do not have the choice of whether or not they're subjected to secondhand smoke. Smoke-free policies can protect people from deadly secondhand smoke, help encourage people who are trying to quit, support those who are already quit and trying to stay quit, and discourage youth from ever starting. According to a 2024 American Lung Association survey, 98% of Marysville residents expressed support for a comprehensive smoke-free policy covering outdoor environments and public spaces. Marysville residents deserve to breathe clean air in outdoor areas of the city, and Marysville has the opportunity to become a leader by adopting the strongest smoke-free outdoor policy in the county, which will serve as a model for neighboring jurisdictions. Thank you for considering a strong smoke and tobacco-free policy to work towards a healthier community and prioritizing the health of Marysville residents. Thank you.
I presume you're speaking in favor of the proposed changes. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Madam Clerk.
No others.
Well, American Cancer Society carries a lot of weight. Awesome. Any questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, what is the, let's see, we are introduce and waiving the first reading. Does this say final approval? Oh, that's right, we have to do a second reading, okay. Anyway, so we're doing what we can, and we'll just have to go through one more hoop. What is the will of the council?
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead with this. Pass a motion to waive the initial reading and move forward with updating this 910 to modern standards.
Perfect. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Beg your pardon? Let's do a.
That's all good, Mayor.
No. I just want to make sure everybody has. I didn't miss another opposed. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rollins?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilchrist?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Nay.
Vice Mayor Buttercaboli? Yes. And Mayor Branscombe?
Yes. Okay, we have committee appointments to be made.
Oh, have item 11, that was, sorry.
We added an 11.
Oh, yeah, a couple letters or
Yes.
something? Okay.
And
Item 11. And I need a motion to approve adding these letters to the agenda.
I'll make
further.
What are they?
Oh.
go ahead and handle that.
What are they?
To the chair.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve these letters as agenda item number 11. Thank you. Make a motion to add this for discussion.
we are lobbying the state legislature on two different items here. And I've seen these before.
Before we move forward to the chair, are these the letters that you were sent out to us to already?
Correct.
We've already looked at. Correct. Okay.
But I think we still need
So
a second to discuss.
We have a motion. We need a second to approve discussion.
I'll second.
Okay, made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did not get an opportunity to read the email.
Roll call.
That's all we're doing at this point.
Oh, okay, I apologize, then yes.
Okay.
All right, then I think I can go. I can present.
Okay. There we
Okay.
go.
And first of all, I want to apologize. These are due before our next meeting. We need to submit. I sent this out via email to all council members individually, and I heard from most, but I can give a brief synopsis of both. First, the SB 866 letter. It is opposing a proposal from the state, one of the legislators, that wants to require us to report homeless data, which is typically reported separately by our homeless consortium as part of our housing element. And I recommend opposing that because I don't think that's appropriate to place in our housing element. We already have means of reporting that. It adds an undue burden to the city to report the same information that they should already have available. So that's what that letter is doing. The second letter is regarding Proposition 36, which has previously passed, but this is a letter to the budget committee, the state budget committees in the legislature, supporting an appropriation of $400 million, I believe, dollars to move forward with the implementation of Proposition 36. So though Proposition 36 was passed, funding was not necessarily appropriated to implement. And so this has minor effect on us. It may have some effect on our law enforcement, but it really affects the county and their ability to implement Proposition 36 through treatment and corrections. So I am recommending that we send this letter in support of that appropriation, but emphasize that it's not just for treatment, but it's for all of the items that the county has to do regarding the courts, probation, and any other law enforcement they have to do related to Prop 36. So that's what that one's about. If both letters are approved, then we will ask for signatures from all of the council.
So we discussed them. What do we do now?
Well, you can make a motion to send one or both.
I will make a motion to move forward with these letters.
I will second that motion for both disapproving 866 and approving funding of Prop.
Well, let's see. We didn't get any public comment on this. Do we have any public comment on this matter?
Which one? 866, Senator Blake's here.
Right. Let's see who she wrote.
Well, and Prop 36 was the proposition that some people styled as making crime illegal again. And substantial majorities in the legislature did not like Prop 36, but the public loved it. And so they're slow to provide the funding, is exactly what's happening. And this is a part of an effort to send a message to them that we'd like to see something. Okay. Any other public comment? Raise your hand if you wish. None noted. Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. That was unanimous, ma'am. Okay, I'll sign it in a second. Thank you all very much for being here.
Winter storm warning in the mountains with heavy snow at times. If you're heading over Donner Pass, check for closures, carry chains. Expect snow till Wednesday p.m. in LaPorte and
Is executed properly and funds are spent accordingly and what have you. I believe I've already appointed the council members, Vice Mayor Buttacavoli and myself. Remember that, Bruce? Thank you. And the public members, two really excellent candidates. Rosemary Dow. Rosemary Dow has a career-long experience in finance. She was in the banking industry at a senior level here locally for very large institutions. She'll be fabulous. And Mr. Eric Botten. Eric had been editor of the Appeal Democrat, and people in those positions know what's going on and are good reads on situations like this. And I'm proud to appoint both of those members to the board, the committee that will be staying on top of Measure B. And the last is the Public Safety Committee, which has been proposed and now finally down to committee appointments. Again, Vice Mayor Buttacavoli and myself will be appointed to the Public Safety Committee. We move to committee reports and comments and requests, and you always get to go first, Councilmember Rollins.
Well, I really don't have any committee reports. I've attended a lot of meetings, but nothing to report out to. I just wanted to say that many of us attended the fantastic Buckeye events. They were just the ribbon cuttings for L&L and Sunshine Kids Clubhouse and NorCal Ciders. Each was lively and well attended. I thought that it was just great. And the Big Boy train ride was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Huge thanks to UP Railroad staff for the informative and fun time. And the Buckeye was just an amazing event. So I'd like to just report out that, and thank you to staff for all your work and everything that you do every day to make our jobs a little bit easier.
Councilman Gilchrist.
All right, I have no committee reports at this time. I do have 4 items I would love to meet with the city manager and or the planning department and or any of the staff that would give me an update on these 4 following items. And by the way, I've been walking around town a lot and looking at stuff, so I have a little bullet point list. We'll start with the Medical Arts District. There have been some really cool and exciting bits of activity going on there, I've noticed, and I just want to get a grip on our Medical Arts District vision within our new general plan update. And so I'd love, not anytime soon, but I'd love to just get a handle on and make sure what I was expecting and what's really happening are 2 of the same things. And then I'm curious, that's one thing. The second one is an update on the Chinatown grant status. I'm eager to hear how that is going. I believe there was some public input information going on, and I'd love to get an update on that because I live in Chinatown, I see a lot of really exciting people from out of town. I just wanted to get on that. The third item is the D, and by the way, I'm back on D Street because one of our buildings looks really good. Thank you all for making sure that the builder did the best possible thing for D Street.
Which building are you talking
this is 313 D Street, the original Woolworths, which has an awesome business in it, the golfing range business, and it had a veneer improvement that was sort of stalled.
Oh, so that was the original Woolworths?
That was the original 1877.
It moved further north on
It did, but it modernized like a lot. Yeah, isn't that cool? And I have photographs of all of the Woolworths logo stuff. So because of that, I've been asked by the people who use D Street in between 3rd and 4th the status on the D Street project, which is the bollards and the streetlights. I understand there was a little hitch, and at some point I'd love to get an update on that so I have an educated answer to give to the people who are excited about it. And then the last item is really Mr. Dan Flores' job as soon as he gets back from vacation, and that's a status on all of our downtown residential projects and see how those are going. See where we are with them, see what we can do, and make sure that we handle our streets and parking so that that's all handled for the influx. That's it. Oh, and by the way, excellent mid-year budget presentation. You were right in alignment with what you had discussed with us privately. Thank you very much. And it's actually exciting to know that you have the experience and the knowledge to make sure we move forward healthily with our finances. It's really crucial. And thank you all for all of your outstanding work, by the way, as well. That's all.
Councilmember Hudson.
I got no committee reports to report at this time. We've had a little bit of a break from that. I just comments. It seems odd because I've owned this business in town for the city of Marysville for almost 12 years, and most people come to me to complain. But it seems like this past, I don't know, a couple weeks, I've received several phone calls from constituents inquiring about certain issues. And for the most part, I would like to thank Beta for handling a lot of that, and appreciate that, you know. But I do have a question on one of them. One of the constituents called me asking about getting a business permit in the city of Marysville for a photography business in their home. We now have ordinances saying that they must have surety bonds. I've never heard of that before.
We have had that requirement. However, I believe we are going to be removing that requirement, and we addressed that with the constituent and issued a business license, I believe.
Correct.
Okay.
It was a business license and a home occupancy permit. Both were addressed with legal counsel, and to my knowledge, there have been no complaints thereafter.
Okay.
Business license was issued, no bond surety was required. It was a dated term, I believe, within the ordinance, and we are working towards modernizing it and removing the bond surety portion of it.
Well, I appreciate that update because that was one of the first phone calls I got a couple weeks ago, and I just haven't had time to follow up with that. So thank you for that information. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys' work and the transparency. Thank you.
Sir. Vice Mayor.
I have just one committee report that I just want to kind of throw out to get everybody a little bit up to speed. In the RWMA, there's being a push to try and renegotiate an extension with Recology by in an attempt to not go out for an RFP. I am in favor of not having to go out for an RFP and doing this extension, except the lease doesn't, I mean, the agreement runs for 2 more years. And this thing is getting pushed pretty heavily, I feel, by Yuba City. But the idea, just so everybody understands, the idea is that we all go out together to do this negotiation and extension, so we don't have to go out with an RFP. If Brad probably remembers, the last time we went out for this, Yuba City held out, and they tried to negotiate it on their own, and all the other the other 5 jurisdictions stuck together. So it's getting, it's kind of getting a little bit ramrodded through, and I'm trying to slow it down. And Stuart went in when I was unable to go and voted the way I appreciated. And the one thing that Jim, maybe if you get, I know you're aware of this, I've talked to you about it, but there's, when they want to put together a committee to, don't ask me why, but Robert Bendorf is on it and Kevin Mallon's on it, and I'm concerned how they were picked, and because
what's the point of the committee?
It's to, I'm not sure.
Is this a committee that the RWA?
Yes, that the chairman is trying to put together and appoint. So I just want you to be aware of it, what's going on. I'm a little disappointed of why those 2 were chosen without the rest of us knowing. But it's an ad hoc, excuse me, I should have put that in, an ad hoc to look into the contract. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Are they ostensibly representing us?
We are them. No, let me just make sure I clarify to be sure, and then you can back me up if I misstate this. But this whole thing the RWMA would be doing is looking at putting together the extension, and which they want to do 10 years. It still has to come back to every individual jurisdiction to be voted on to agree with that. But my concern, and David Shaw's included me all the way through with it, But I'm just concerned of how this ad hoc was picked, and I haven't been able to find out yet. I think David, for the most part, did the pick on that. I believe he talked to you on making sure we did it correct. Can you help on that? There you go.
It's not.
That's the TAC, but my understanding is that there is a separate ad hoc that's going to even come to the TAC that had these two. I believe David Shaw wanted he and myself to be on it, and you, I understand, told him that probably wasn't appropriate, which I agree with you.
Yeah. You can be part of a staff.
Okay. So to just finish that, I will say, I don't know, Jim, if you had a comment there, but to just say that I'm just keeping everybody abreast of what's going on. We're still a little ways. Actually, this month's meeting was canceled due to the fact that we hadn't gotten a report back from this, whatever you want to call them, committee. So it's going to come up next month. And then again, if it passes, it still has to come back to each jurisdiction for us to approve the suggestions that they're trying to put together. So I have had some talk with Recology and with my concerns, and I'm feeling comfortable with them, but all this will be brought back. I'm just making everybody aware, especially you, knowing that this little committee was being put together. Oh, and do you have something on this? Because otherwise, I'll finish my. Go ahead, just to finish my other stuff is I want to agree with that big boy train ride was incredible. I think you were up in the engine, weren't you?
I got video.
Yeah, it was great. So it was a good time. And I think I did this last meeting, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to thank you ahead of time because the drains are doing a lot better this year than they have in past. We were out there waiting in it not last year, but a couple before. My house, the road was almost flooded all the way over and it drained right out. So I don't know if you guys are doing anything at this point, but I'm going to give you kudos anyway.
I'll pass it on to the guys. Thank you. But they're staying on top of it. That the pump station improvements are a big help over there in that area as well. So thanks.
So I apologize. One more thing, Mayor. You reminded me, Bruce, that the video I took, and I'm not a very good videographer or nostalgic individual, of the big boy train. My general manager is very astute. He put YouTube Stassi's Fourth Ward is all my video that he cropped together on there if you guys want to take a look at that. Me and the locomotive.
Just going back to the RWMA, and I think our council can validate me here. I am not aware of any ad hoc committee that was formed. And I
don't know if that's the proper title.
Or a committee. My suspicion would be that any committee formed would be done via a vote of the board members. That being said, we do have a TAC committee, a Technical Advisory Committee, which is not uncommon in JPAs and COGs and such, that would provide technical advice or recommendations and do research regarding issues like this. I have not heard that there's any subset of that TAC committee being formed with Mr. Bindorf and Mr. Mallon. And I would be surprised if I hadn't heard that from them if that was occurring. But I will check with the TAC committee. My understanding of the process would be that the board would task the TAC committee with doing something like this, which would include the 5 jurisdictions administrators and the administrator for the RWMA, and we would bring that back to the board. That's how I would see it being done.
I think that's how we all expect it to happen, that it should happen. I think that's what we're all expecting, that it should happen, but I'm not sure if that's the way it's being directed at this point.
Okay.
I'd just like to say, I got some information on that as well because you were out and I was getting some texts and stuff. They want to raise the rates extremely high. And entering a 10-year contract, I mean, I highly don't recommend that we don't move that forward.
Let me speak to that next. That's top on my list. It's top on my list, number one. 10 years. How long is the existing contract? Has it been a 10-year contract? Well, 4 or 5, the shorter the better. Otherwise, we have no leverage. And if the group goes for a 10-year, that is contrary to the best interest of the group. It may be the best interest of somebody, but I don't know who. 4 years is more than enough. And given the political dynamics, 4 years is probably the right cycle. That's big comment. Otherwise, you don't have any leverage. You give up 10. Where did the 10 years come from?
I've been there every step of the way except for the one meeting, and I don't know that anybody knows, including myself, exactly who drew up this original.
Maybe Recology, and I wouldn't blame them if they did.
So, but I will just want to make sure I make clear. What we're doing as a JTPA is just agreeing to pass this on to each jurisdiction. So we will end up getting it, if it passes, for us to all dissect and go through for what we think is
I would suggest, and I guess the individual there, but I will state clearly, in my opinion, that it should not be anything longer than 4 years. Otherwise, we have no leverage in negotiations. The sword of Damocles is hanging, and it's a 4-year drop, but that beats the heck out of a 10-year drop. Mm-hmm. And pricing on 10 years is nuts.
Well, there's a lot of things in it, just so you know, that I disagree. And there's a couple of us on there that voted. Stuart voted for me, and a couple that voted.
Would it be?
What we did was we voted to get a lot more clarification on it before we even tried to pass it to bring it to the jurisdictions.
Would it be useful on big ticket issues, major issues, and the term is a major issue? If there is something longer than 4 years, looks like it might be coming into play, perhaps we should take a formal action as a council to discuss what we think is the best term, make it clear we will not accept a term.
Yeah,
and if other jurisdictions vote in favor for some long term, we're basically hung, because no one's going to want to come in and replace them just for Marysville.
Well, at this point, I think the majority is standing that to have this all re-looked at. Now, we probably need to ask council here. Am I getting too far ahead on this? I just really wanted to bring everybody up to speed.
You probably are, because as I understood it, it's going to be coming back for a staff report at the next meeting for the entire board to consider.
Okay.
So you don't...
More than anything, I was trying to make Jim aware.
So I do,
Yeah.
and pardon me, Mayor, just one more comment.
Sure.
And question for legal counsel. This is coming back to the RWMA board, and there will be an agenda item with the packet that is available to every single council member here ahead of time. So I would suggest that we make sure that that's distributed to the council members so that they can review it and provide any feedback to our representative at that meeting.
I should have that, I'm sure I'll have that emailed out to me, which I can then just forward on, if that's all appropriate.
You're the only board member here, so there's no quorum problem.
Okay.
Because right now we're talking in open session, so there's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no quorum problem because you're just one member of the board.
Okay.
Continuing. SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Governments. Seems like we're dealing with matters outside the scope of Marysville more often than not, way more often than not. Recently, funding for the transit authorities, and we've got a Yuba-Sutter Transit Authority and what have you. YOLO Transit, SAC-RT and YOLO Rapid Transit are the two big ones. Placer County is outside the scope of SACOG when it comes to transit, as is El Dorado County. We just approved $50 million for SAC-RT. And I'm just expressing some frustration. SAC-RT's facing a fiscal cliff, and I can't tell if it's really a transit operation or if it's a jobs program grafted on top of a transit operation. Anyway, we will be discussing with them, and it will be a heated discussion, I believe, on their plans to deal with a big drop in revenue. Because SB 125, which was $66 million last year for them, $50 million this year, this coming fiscal year, and then more likely than not, zero. And dealing with an organization that feels constitutionally guaranteed to be of a certain size and breadth and power and scope is difficult. Anyway, we're doing with that. I'm proud to say that Yuba-Sutter Transit operates smoothly. YOLO Transit, which is a significant operation, they operate smoothly. Every other, it's SAC-RT, YOLO, and Yuba-Sutter, right? And it's just SAC-RT that is this monster. The water building, quick question on that, just something that you were mentioning. It's looking shabby, and it's been damaged, and it seems like the owner should be pressured to do something. I mean, the water building, it's 4th and D, southeast corner, also known as the water building, and had that fire.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If our code enforcement officer has not addressed that, I will make sure she does.
Yeah, no, the owner, he's slow to act on these things. Nice guy, slow to act, so we need to deal with it. Beach Festival, I need to apologize. Maybe we're going to need some council action on this. We were having during the agenda meeting, and I'll apologize to the rest of the council, I was reminded of something I'd approved, and it had gotten by me, and I apologize to everybody present. Our consultant had suggested last year we had 3 entertainment venues, 3 stages. And this time around, she proposed just one, and I'd been paying close enough attention during the meeting. I'd have barked then, but I barked when it was really came to mind. We have a long run there. And perhaps I've got the wrong outlook on this, but it seems to me, Beach Festival, we celebrate a lot of things. One of what was a huge major industry, but it's still a significant industry in the community. And it's something that people enjoy coming out for. It's a fun event. It's also, we are advertising when we're doing public relations with the Beach Festival. We're showing people what Marysville is and trying to sell people between the lines on what it can be and create more and more interest in downtown Marysville. And I call downtown certainly from 6th Street all the way to 1st. All the way over the railroad tracks. And so I suggested strongly, in fact, I might have insisted, I might have gone out over my skis too far, we have to have two, because it's too big a run. They're the 3rd and D traditional spot, and then we need to have one, and it's been taken away from there in front of Casa Carlos. Casa Carlos, that is their biggest weekend of the year, number one. Number two, I think it's fair to say they probably pay more sales tax. They generate more sales tax, I should say, than any of the other entities going over to D and all the way to 1st. And that's been a tough business. And what we can do to support those businesses, and I think the other eateries are on the far end. So I think there's been some movement. If we need some formal action on that, Jim, to get that contract squared away.
I think we can handle that administratively.
Well, again, I wanted to apologize in public.
Yeah, well, just so you also know, I'm meeting with Monday with a couple of the local music guys around town. No, I'm sorry, I went blank. Stevie. And Adrian. And we're going to try to put a little bit better budget together. So we have some good ideas of how we can do it so it's not going to put a second stage in, it's not going to cost us too much. So we'll be meeting Monday to see what kind of a budget we can put together to have both stages. We've got some really good ideas. I think that'll help.
Beyond the celebration and the peach cobblers and buying peaches and everything else that happens there, it's a great opportunity for us to showcase what downtown Marysville is, and particularly with everything that Dan and city management is doing in terms of development opportunities down there. And as things move forward, I wanted to come clean on that.
Might I give a recommendation?
Sure.
We can likely handle this administratively and work with our consultant and Vice Mayor Buttacavoli on the details of that stage and make it happen.
Perfect. Again, if that stage, that could be a warm spot in front of Casa. I've got an outdoor air conditioner that I will loan to the stage. I will cause it to be there. I'd be happy to do it. The train, just a final comment on the train. Must have been 2,000 people. It was easily 1,000. I looked up and down the tracks. I was guessing 2,000. Well, you might have had 500 of them in your bar. I walked in the bar to get something to drink, and it was 4 deep. I was real happy for you. When it was over, I lingered for a while. I was watching people head out, go home, and then I had to walk a couple blocks to my car, and I saw more and more. Everybody was smiling. Everybody was in a good mood. What is it about big trains, particularly something on that scale, that causes that kind of reaction. Wish we could have them come through once a year. That was absolutely grand, absolutely grand. I'll finish on that. Mr. City, Madam Clerk, any council correspondence?
Not tonight, Mayor.
And we have, you signed that, Bruce? Thank you. And get it back to Jim. There we go. Sir. No council correspondence?
No, not tonight.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
Okay, I have a bit of a list here, but I'll try and go through quickly. Everybody loves streets, so I've got a lot of streets news.
Street news is good news.
We are working on a grant through SACOG called System Preservation, and we have selected some streets working with the Streets Committee. Our grant writer, Daniel Peterson, is finishing that up. He consulted with SACOG, and SACOG has the service they provide to review these ahead of time, and so he took advantage of that. There may be some minor tweaks to that, but we intend to submit that or bring that to council for approval to submit here in the very near future. We continue to work on the Linder Fire annexation, just walking through the process. Our finance director has been more engaged than in the past, and she's looking at numbers, of course, so welcome her involvement in that. Everything seems to be going smoothly for the most part. CDBG number 3 went out to bid. That's in northwest Marysville, and we did receive numerous bids, and it looks like they were all fairly close and within target. We had some adults that we may not be able to do, so we'll have to adjust what the award is and bring that to council with the intent to pave that this summer. We mentioned SB1. We have about $1 million in the SB1 fund. Even before Anissa was getting the warning to spend some of that, we were working on spending it because our streets committee likes to spend money. But we are, as I said, the strategy is to spend down about $800,000, leaving a couple $100,000 in there in case we need to match other funds. And so, once again, our finance director is looking at what other obligations and matches we might have so that we don't spend money twice or 3 times.
Do we have a match on that particular project?
SB1 has no match.
And that'll all be covered with the SB1 money?
Yes, so we'll scale that based on the amount available. I do think we have one CDBG project that we might have to put some match in, and we intend to use SB1 funding to do that, so that will lower the amount we can get done with the balance. Grocery outlet, if you haven't driven by, there are cinder blocks going up. It's going vertical, and they seem to be moving right along. We also submitted the 4th CDBG grant. That one was not a first come, first serve. That's evaluation criteria. So we'll have to wait until that function within the state evaluates it and see how we did. If we don't receive it this time, it'll be ready for the next time, and we'll submit again. And then event-wise, May 2nd, we got the Taco Festival. May 3rd, the Cortez is having a car show in front of their establishment. On May 9th, the Yuba County Office of Ed is having a car show at 805 10th Street. That's up on the north side of town. I think they do that every year. May 15th, Food Truck Friday on D Street between 3rd and 4th. And then May 16th, our fishing derby that Kiwanis puts on at Ellis Lake. And last, May 17th, St. Joseph's Church primacy, and that is on C Street. I believe that's in front of their church as well. So,
May 13th?
Yes, at 10.
and that's at their station, right? Okay, and next meeting we'll probably repeat the ones that haven't been passed. So that's all I have.
Sure. If you try to take a look, 93Q Fish did an interview with Harrison Shapiro, who is the general manager for the Freebirds. They were out at the field and walked through the whole place and explained all the new features they're going to add. And I'm telling you, it's unreal. Now, I'm sure it's a couple-year project at least. You may know more about it than I do, but the you need to go. It's fairly lengthy, but you need to go through and take a look at. If you, I'm sure you can find it on Facebook. But it's incredible what at least their intentions are to do.
I will add to that. I believe they are fully paid up on the ticket sales and utility, which wasn't the case of the previous team. And then I missed one comment on the train.
When you say previous team, previous owners, they've changed team names. We don't.
Previous owners. Yes, I'm sorry. Previous owners, the previous league. The train ride was good, but what was, I think, even better was the notoriety that the event brought to our community. I think that was huge, and I saw the same smiling faces. I think we have some more T-shirts on order for those who didn't get theirs, because we sold out almost immediately. And I was very happy with the way that event turned out. And I do think we had a huge community turnout, and they really appreciated it. And a fun fact, that train does not run on coal anymore. It runs on vegetable oil.
Oh, really? And Brad?
Back on Sunday. Same time we signed up.
Just think that it didn't snow.
Well, the train.
I just have to say, I had no idea what the big boy train was. In fact, I wasn't going to go because I thought it sounded like the most silly thing there was to go to ride a train from Moraville. And someone very dear and close to me straightened me right out and said, you better go look at this thing and get that right. It's once in a lifetime. And I'm ashamed to say I didn't know, but I didn't know.
The real quick one. The representative, Lincoln's representative at SACOG, started at the last SACOG meeting last week, went off and went round and round about, we were named the train town, blah, blah. I said, time out. You're one of many. Oh, Lord. That's it. Anything else? I don't want to cut anybody off. The next regular meeting, Marysville City Council, will be Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 at 6 p.m. We're adjourned.
Winter storm warning in the mountains with heavy snow at times. If you're heading over Donner Pass, check for closures, carry chains. Expect snow till Wednesday p.m. in LaPorte and Little Grass. Then things clear up through mid. comes peeking through. Looking Thursday into Friday, sunny skies in Plumas Lake, sunny skies for fishing Collins, Clipper Mills gets the same break. For the weekend there are changes, mostly sunny Saturday, then there's rain back in the hill forecast as we move into Sunday. Sunday down in Wheatland, we'll have mostly sun, but expect to have a chance of rain the farther up the hills you run. Early next week, clouds and sunshine with a slight chance of rain in the valley, hills, and in La Porte. That's your Yuba-Sutter weather song for this Tuesday afternoon. This government watch at 6 p.m. from Marysville City Hall. The Marysville City Council is adjusting city finances. We're more or less funds coming in, and will there be a trim? We bring you Yuba-Sutter, whether scheduled or surprise. See what's happening locally here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Here on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. It's the truth that comes through.